Hello, good morning. Good morning everyone and welcome. Günaydın, hoş geldiniz. Thank you for all of you joining us today.
Deneme. Deneme.
Today, our session we will discuss about biodiversity, water, and carbon markets, financial nature, future. My name is Elif. I'm from Biocarbon Standard, and I'm delighted to moderate this session today. And also we have excellent speakers today with us. I want to introduce with Javier Manzanares from Biocarbon Standard. Javier Manzanares is a session leader in international finance and climate policy with over 25 experience and multilateral institution. He has served in senior roles at the World Bank, the Green Climate Funds, UNOPS, BCA, and private banking. His work focused on climate investments, carbon markets, sustainability finance, and innovative solutions such as nature-based solutions, blue carbon, and regenerative agriculture. Javier holds a PD in sustainability management and multiple MBAs and continues at advised global institutes while contributing to academic and policy discussion worldwide. And thank you, Javier, for joining us today. And I'm going to continue with Patricio Parsini. He, he's from Apano Rainforest Reserve. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm introducing you. Patricio
Hi everyone.
is an agroeconomist, engineer, and biodiversity conservation specialist who serves as director of biodiversity and ecosystem services of Foundation Huellas para un Futuro. I hope I say correctly.
Perfect.
He led the registration of the Apanapo Rainforest Reserves Initiative located in Misiones, Argentina, under Bicarbon Standard Biodiversity Program, now available on Global Carbon Trace. Welcome again, and I'm going to introduce Turhan Karakaya, Turhan Bey. Dr. Turhan Karakaya is an assistant professor and interview with World Engineering the business expertise. His work focus on energy efficiency, renewable energy, and strategic management. He has held senior roles in international companies and actively contributed to sectoral organizations. And welcome Turhan Bey. And the last
Hello.
participants, Tılsım Liechtenstein. I hope I I say correctly. She's from Doğuş University. Tılsım is the CEO of Sinter Mental Technologies, leading the company's global growth and technological investment since 1998. She holds degrees from Robert Collick Brown University, including the triple major and three master degrees from Columbia University. Her career reflects strong leadership and industrial innovation and international business. So, before the start this session, Javier will share with us some presentation quickly, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Elif, and welcome to everyone. So, for the first few minutes, we'll give you a summary of what biocarbon standard is. So, as you may know, and particularly in carbon markets, standards are the entities that will certify whether an emission reduction has taken place and the emission reduction has been verified. So that's measured in carbon markets as tons, and they call them carbon credits, right? So biocarbon is one of those standards. It was originated in Colombia. We will see now that it does have projects throughout the different continents. But for your information, it's been approved by ICROA. It's under evaluation by ICBCM, and it is aligned with CORSIA. That's another standard setter. But let's go a little bit into the particulars of biocarbon. So I started my introduction talking about carbon markets. But there are other programs apart from carbon markets. Carbon is about reducing, verifying, certifying that a ton of CO2 or equivalent gases has been removed or has been avoided, right? So that's the carbon program. With biocarbon, we have 3 different programs. You can go on the objective, scope, eligibility, credit issued, so on and so forth. But I want you to know at this point that there are 3 programs under biocarbon. One of them is the carbon program. The other one is on biodiversity. So let's forget about, for a second, let's forget about carbon. Let's talk about biodiversity and very specifically biocredits. So what this program is about is measuring the positive impact in nature and fauna. So that is also measured, and it's converted into a credit that is also verified. That's called biocredits. And thirdly, and I would say that biocarbon standard is about the only standard out there with these 3 programs. The third one is about water. So we have a water credit program. It was adopted by the technical committee of biocarbon only about 6 months ago. And when we talk about programs, we talk about the umbrella. So that's where the program establishes the general requirements. Then we go into methodologies. The methodologies will take care of the specifics of our project, right? So you are a project developer, you present the specific of your projects. If we don't have a methodology, we cannot analyze your project, right? So this is, like I said, a brand new, it's a new inception water credit program, and it does have already a couple of methodologies that has been adopted by the program. But in this particular water credit program, we measure water credits on cubic meter of water that we can prove that it's either being conserved, that it's being throughout efficiency tools, it's being saved, so that it's being put in deposits or in reservoirs. So we measure water here, right? And we convert those verifiable water cubic of units, we put them into credits. And those credits, once they are certified, verified and certified, and then they are put in the market for investors. So biocarbon has now about 79 projects. It's issued more than 81 million credits, equivalent to million tons. So it's not a minor standard, right? I think you can easily say that it belongs to the second tier, but it's a very large biocarbon standard. It's a large standard with projects in 14 countries in 5 continents. And when we talk about credits that have been retired, what we mean is that we issue those credits have been certified, and then there is an off-taker, there is an investor that is buying those credits for a purpose,
Ne oldu ekranında senin öyle?
maybe reducing the footprint.
Ekranın çizdiği niye?
Sırat köprüsü abi o. Binaların
Can we please ask you to put your mics on mute?
Ekrana vurmuş.
Colleagues, may I please ask you to mute your mics? Thank you so much. So that's retired 44 million of those 81 issued million credits.
Pardon.
A little bit of our presence.
Yani müşteri bunu ötürünce geri dönersin.
Thank you for the translation.
Ödevine çıkacak abi.
So yeah, can we please say in Turkish that to put the mic?
Acaba şu an bir kişinin sesi açık ama acaba kapatabilir misiniz? Sanırım şu an oldu. Teşekkür ederiz.
Well, I don't know if we can go back to the display, but I was still about to finish my presentation, so no worries. This is just to let you know that we in Biocarbon, we have offices and representatives in different continents. Elif is one of them, and she is in Turkey. There is another one in Africa. The main team, I would say, including the CEO and founder, Angela Duque, she's in Colombia, but we have people in Portugal, in Spain, so on and so forth. Okay, this is what I was talking about. So real quick, CEO in Colombia, but we have the sustainability leader in Portugal, operations manager in Spain. In Africa, we have the operations and engagement officer and several colleagues, business development advisor in Peru, legal counsel, Colombia, well, so on and so forth. So there is a presence and a footprint out there in case that you have a project and you would like to consider biocarbon as your standard. And with this, I'll finish my presentation. Thank you so much for your patience throughout the different languages that were in the background. So I enjoy very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Javier, for this really good presentation. So, we're gonna continue. I'm gonna start these questions, the decision with you. The first questions for you. In your view, what are the biggest policy gaps preventing integrate approach to nature financing? Could you please share with us your experience?
So the question is about policy gaps, right? And perhaps I would start by saying that maybe financing and access to money is not so much of a problem. I think it's the policy area that is not yet integrated. So if you want to pursue a project, you would find difficulties like going through different ministries. If you have a project that includes regenerative agriculture, where you need to go through the Ministry of Environment and maybe a Ministry of Natural Resources and a Ministry of Agriculture and very likely External Affairs as well. So, I mean, you have to tick a number of boxes for one project, for your project. And on top of that, there is no clear coherence on what nature assets are. So there is like a legal uncertainty, not only on what the definition of nature assets, but also on the accounting rules, yeah, that will apply to your project. A project that could well be about water, or it could well be about a biodiversity component. So these nature assets, well, unfortunately, maybe accounting standards have moved a little bit more lately towards establishing the methodologies, but then it goes from the methodology of the accounting, it goes now into policy and implementation. So that latter part is not happening. So you don't have clear-cut policies, and those are not implemented yet. So in a few words, without this part of the policy advance and implementation, it is very difficult. It's very difficult to secure finance, right? And also because if from the financier perspective, there is no clarity on the legal definition of nature assets, well, they are at risk. How are they going to finance your project when they don't even know how the accounting treatment is like, what the capital treatment is? So that's really hampering nature assets into moving on for getting financing. I hope that answers.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. Actually, let me bring the Patricio and into the conversation. Patricia, how does this look from the rainforest and conservation point of view?
Hello, everyone. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor to be here with you. Hello to the panelists also. Well, from the Aponapo Rainforest Reserve, we are located in Misiones, and we have seen that in terms of biodiversity, it's much complex than from carbon because there is no standardized matrix as, for example, tons of carbon. In this case, it's multidimensional. We have richness, species, abundance. We have threatened species, ecosystems, the habitats. We have different factors that may influence the part that is in terms of additionality. So here we have to see how these indicators are aligned with the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. And in terms of biodiversity credits, we have seen that there is, like today, not so standardized. There are like differences. So I think that from now on, there should be an alignment between those metrics in terms of alignment also with the sustainability reports such as GRI, Science-Based Target Network, Task Force on Nature Financial Disclosure, CDP. We are seeing that these indicators, such as, for example, Forest Integrity Index, ecosystem condition, species that are in the USN red list, these indicators are somehow all present in the standards, but when we see the part of calculation, there are some differences. So in that sense, I think there is a lot of potential. And we are now presenting the documentation for the verification body, that is CERES. We are ending the calculation part, and we are presenting the first two monitoring periods. Our initiative is combining an approach that combines conservation, and sustainable use of biodiversity in alignment with the Nagoya Protocol that secures the free, prior, and informed consent from the local communities and benefit sharing mechanisms. We are developing capacity building programs with the communities for agroecological production and also restoring degraded ambients, ecosystems. And we are making enrichment planting and supplementation in order to restore ecological corridors and to make connectivity within forest patches. So in terms of indicators, we have working on species richness and abundance, the connectivity between those forest patches, and also there is a connection between the high conservation values that we have seen that there is also cultural species for the communities that are for a lot of importance. And in terms of ecosystem services, we've been using the ecosystem services procedure, that is a tool that is used for guidance in terms of demonstration of impacts for all ecosystem services, such as carbon, biodiversity, soil, water, and also cultural and recreational services. So now, today we are ending this process with biocarbon. We are having some meetings in terms of how all this information regarding the last two monitoring periods, starting from 2019, how we can ensure this additionality using these indicators. So we are in that part today. So thank you very much for the question.
Great insights. Thank you, Patricio. Sorry. Okay. Turhan Bey, perhaps can you give us the academic perspectives here? Could you please share with us?
About what? Can you ask the question again?
Yes, sure. Can you give us the academic perspectives about these questions?
About the policy gaps and
Yes,
preventing
yes.
integrated approaches? Yeah, from my point of view, the biggest gap is the absence of standardized and trusted data. Without reliable carbon and water and biodiversity metrics, nature and finance cannot scale. The second one, from the academic point of view, there is a lack of harmonized legal frameworks between countries, which makes cross-border projects slow and risky. And finally, we need much stronger verification and monitoring systems, especially in developing countries, to build investor confidence from our point of view.
Okay, thank you. And Tılsım Hanım, would you like to add some points about these questions?
The way I look at it is from the beginning, there is a certain lack of correct pricing in the markets. I come from the private sector, obviously, but currently, if we look at how everything is priced, some of the offenders do not still are very cheap because like the damage it is done on a sustainable basis or to the environment are not sort of reflected in the pricing of the goods, which is because they're never being held liable for. If we had some sort of correct pricing on the lack of sustainability or offending practices or offending goods, I think the market itself would be able to align, and the sustainable practices, of course, would become also economically feasible. I think what the governments lack to do is sort of trying to figure out if a certain good in the market or a certain practice in the market is causing everyone, including the government, some extra cost to clean up or other natural disasters or other repercussions. These don't get priced in and reflected on the sellers or users. I think governments should also have a policy on sort of like the pricing and the economics of sustainability. And this exactly, as my colleague has mentioned, requires a lot of data. And I think we're lacking a lot of this data currently.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue with. Can you hear me well? Okay, okay. The second questions for Patricio. This question for you. What role do blended finance models or public-private partnerships play in scaling investments in nature-based solutions?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I think this is very important in terms of de-risking I think that public funding alone is not sufficient. So we have to make to act like a bridge in order to private sector in order to invest. So I think that this is very important because if we combine both public and private finance, I think that it's more probable that we will be able to advance in terms of nature positive. However, there are still some questions in terms of the private sectors because today, as I told before, the nature market is somehow risky because there is not so much clear return of investment in terms of, okay, how much I will recover and in which time frame. So these questions start to arise, but I think that these type of instruments are very important in order to somehow, yes, make it lower the risk for the private sector and to unlock those billions of dollars needed for nature positive outcomes.
Okay, thank you. So Javier, I would like to continue with you. Could you please share? No, could you please? No, sorry. Since you work closely with blended finance structures, and could you please share with us your experience? So sure.
Yeah, sure. Well, I come from a blended finance background. Spent 8 years of my life working for the Green Climate Fund. So that's what the fund is about, right? So particularly for carbon, biodiversity and water, without blending the type of resources, financial resources, there is practically no way you get projects out there. You just can't. You just can't because there is no risk tolerance amongst financial institutions to go into projects where there is such a high level of uncertainty. There is no price indications, as my colleague mentioned earlier on. That is very difficult. There is also uncertainties in terms of transparency, of legal frameworks, double materiality. There is a number, there is a list of those elements that make this type of financing only available if another institution provides either a guarantee, a first loss, or some sort of credit enhancement instrument. Then is when the financial institutions can come in and blend. That's what's called blended, right? They blend the resources. One part from, let's call public, financial institutions, regional development banks, international funds, so on and so forth. They blend those funds from funds coming from private sector, private financial institutions. So it's not only that the blended is necessary, it's also the need for technical assistance at pre-feasibility stage, even at piloting stage. We need that type of support so that the projects can prove that they are indeed feasible from the financial perspective. So myself, probably I would just finish that point by saying that blended finance is available. You go with national development banks, regional, multilateral development banks, bilateral agencies, the funds are at disposal. Maybe one additional element, when we talk about nature, when we talk about carbon programs, we talk about biodiversity programs and water credit programs. In essence, the difference between these projects and the rest of project finance out there is that we talking here about results-based payments. That's an important difference. What it means is that we prove first that the impact is there, and then we get the results, then we get the financing for the results. That's a complete different type of scenario. And this is something that should make the type of financing should make it available for blended resources. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Javier. Turhan Bey, actually, I want to continue with you. How do you see the importance of these partnerships for Turkey?
Yeah, it's a little bit tough, as the others mentioned that. Yeah, from the academic point of view, again, and when I mentioned it, blended finance and the public-private partnership play a catalytic role in scaling nature-based solutions. So blended finance helps correct market failures by using public or consensual capital to de-risk early stage projects that would otherwise be considered too uncertain by private investors. So this creates a pathway for institutional investors to enter nature markets with confidence. And the second, public-private partnership enables to alignment of environmental objectives with economic incentives. So they bring together government, scientific rigor, and the implementation capacity of the private sector. So this combination is essential for high-quality projects and biodiversity restoration, watershed protection, or carbon removal. So finally, as a summary, I can say that these models accelerate scale because they allow for long-term investment structures, transparent governance, and standardized monitoring frameworks. Without blended finance and PPPs, nature-based solutions remain fragmented pilot projects. With them, they become national and even regional programs capable of delivering measurable climate and biodiversity benefits.
Okay, thank you so much. And Tılsım Hanım, please feel free for the last thoughts, and if you want at some points, important points, please feel free before the move on the next questions.
I think most governments don't have the structures or the budgets to come in. I mean, in theory, this whole private-public partnership sounds wonderful, but there's a lot of economic realities, and to have programs require quite long planning, and require structure, organizations, which many governments do not have, and usually there is no budget for them. So given this, I think also the public sector, the government can have other kind of financial tools, like some sort of tax credits or other incentives in absence of these to support. Because most of the time, it's not only the implementation, because I'm actually a strong believer that all of the projects, infrastructure or not, like if you're from a private sector point of view, when you're investing in something, the return has to come quickly. Otherwise, the economic feasibility dies, the incentive of investing in that dies. So whatever you do, you have to plan very well for a quick positive outcome. And this also, to be able to do this usually is either you have to really employ the new technologies. And a lot of it, when we go to these little new technologies, it goes into research. So we go back into research incentives. And in this stage, things are so uncertain. You don't know if some researchers will make it or not, that the governments cannot come in with some sort of financing. I think the private sector, if they believe in the company doing it, see possible future gains might. I know some government funds have been quite effective, but as in the fund point of view, trying to get into these sort of new companies, new technologies. But with the exception of that, it's quite rare. So again, it goes back to incentives at the core. And if these incentives cannot be in financial sort of like contribution, it has to come on different sorts of incentives, which doesn't cost the governments a lot to give before something happens.
Okay, thank you for your answers, and it was really important. So I want to continue with the third question. Before the continue, actually, I would like to focus on more swift to impact in the insurance because the nature projects, complex, you know. Turhan Bey, these questions, especially for you. Do you know the measure impact to such multi-dimensional projects? What kind of the indicators or metrics are most useful?
From Turkey point of view, I will answer it again. In Turkey,
Sorry. Turhan Bey, acaba mikrofonu biraz yaklaştırabilir misiniz? Sesiniz biraz uzaktan geliyor. Tamam, teşekkür ederim.
Geliyor mu şimdi, değil mi?
Evet, harika. Tamam, teşekkür ederiz.
Evet, teşekkür ederim. Yeah, in Turkey, measuring impact in multidimensional nature projects requires a framework that reflects both our ecological diversity and our regulatory realities. For carbon, the most useful indicators are those aligned with Turkey's emerging ETS and EU CBM requirements. The first ISO 14064 corporate inventories, and second one ISO 14067 product carbon footprints, and the sector-specific emission factors for cement, steel, chemicals, and transport. These metrics ensure that Turkey's credit and reports are accepted in international markets. For water, basin level metrics are essential because Turkey's water stress varies dramatically by region. The most relevant indicators include groundwater recharge rates, river basin water balance, and agricultural water use efficiency. So these reflects the priorities of Turkey's water law and basin protection plans. So for biodiversity, Turkey's unique ecosystems require indicators such as habitat integrity scores, species richness in protected areas, land degradation neutrality metrics, and satellite-based ecosystem condition monitoring. So finally, in Turkey, the social dimension is critical. Many nature-based projects involve local farmers, forest villagers, cooperatives, and municipal partners. So we must measure income improvement, local benefit sharing, job creation, and community resilience. In summary, the most useful metrics for Turkey are those that combine international standards with Turkey's basin structure, biodiversity hotspots, and the social realities. Only this integrated approach will make Turkey competitive and global nature markets from the academic point of view.
Okay, thank you so much. It's really interesting. I want to continue with Patricio. Could you please share with us some comments about under the directly with your work and biodiversity and local ecosystems, please?
Sure. So, using the methodology of biocarbon standard, we are using several indicators. First of all, key biodiversity areas, high conservation value, also the red list species and red list ecosystems, present in the rainforest reserve. There are critical habitats that are endangered, or there are also microhabitats that are very important to be conserved, and also species that have value culturally for the local communities. Another indicators are forest cover, forest patches, and all connectivity metrics. We are working with biological corridors using camera traps, so it is important to measure not only the restoration and rehabilitation of specific areas, but also the animals, the fauna that are present in those habitats or ecosystems that were restored. So apart from measuring the composition and structure, we are measuring all the social aspects also, and local communities play a big part here because they are not only participating in the identification of species, native species for enrichment and supplementation strategies, but also in the monitoring. And there are educational programs and capacity building programs that have to do with nursery tasks and also for agroecological and organic production. So in our case, we are working with yerba mate under cover, stevia and pitanga. These are the species that we are working on. And yes, we are also looking for youth and women participation and in alignment with the SDGs. So apart from all these indicators that are from the post-2020 and the Global Biodiversity Framework, we are also using the 2030 Agenda as a framework for all the monitoring.
Okay, thank you so much. And Tılsım Hanım, would you like to add some points about regarding these challenges?
I'm a true believer that however we are tasked with the sort of the challenges of our own environment and our own countries, I think the framework has to be global. And there has to be international cooperation and international overlook. And our goals, somehow, we should be able to align. I think that would be very important. And also, if good cases versus bad cases, if we can cross-share the success stories and the failures, then we don't all have to walk our own road.
Okay, thank you. And Javier, would you like to add some comments, please?
Yeah, I think it's a lot have been said already. I would probably add from my side that we don't need 200 indicators. I think we need a set of very robust indicators that at least cover 3 areas. The first one is on the biophysical outcomes. The second one is on the social and economic outcomes. And the third one is on governance, integrity, and quality of data. So at least if we ensure that our indicators strong enough that we cover those 3, and several of the indicators have already been pointed out by my colleagues in this panel. So those biophysical indicators on carbon, on your biocredits, on your water credits, very strong quality. I mean, like for talking about quality, what I mean by strong indicators on water is water quantity, water quality has to be there. When you go into the social and economic components, what's job creation in the community like? What are the revenues that we're bringing into the communities and co-benefits? If you go into the water credit programs, likewise. So finally, on the governance, integrity, and quality of data, do we have, particularly on the indigenous territories, do we have the FPIC, free prior informed consent mechanism in place? Do we have it or not? Do we have a clear distribution of benefits, are we also benefiting gender equality? Are we providing opportunities for women, for youth? Those indicators must be in place. And I think that's how we can ensure that our projects will get the necessary impact. Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you. It's also really so we are moving to last questions. Tılsım Hanım, these questions for you before I mean we plan to the last questions for the COP30. If you what would if you could send one key message to the police market attending COP30, what would it be regarding nature positive finance?
I think it all starts with sustainability pricing. I think to be able to even have these financing, we should be able to see what things cost. And I think we all have a lot of duty. I mean, there's a lot we haven't done, and we've had the chance. I mean, it's now years and years we're talking about these, but we have not yet established the impact of the damage done to the environment, or what plastics does to the oceans. All of these, if we could establish some sort of a real pricing that includes the damage on sustainability, biodiversity, on water, then I think the markets itself will also be able to regulate.
Okay, thank you. And Turhan Bey, this question's for you. Maybe could you please the last message for COP30? Could you please share with us?
Yes, but we have a dream at the Doğuş University. So I will mention that about that point. From the Turkey and Doğuş University perspective, I'm going to answer the question. My key message to policymakers is this. Nature positive finance will only work if Turkey invests first and strong and trusted and independent measurements, reporting and verification systems, like MRV systems. So Turkey has extraordinary natural assets, but they cannot create fair value in global markets without reliable data. So we have really big problem in Turkey. So we don't have enough reliable data and accredited verification. So we have one of the biggest problems is that accredited verification and the clear governance rules. So this is our biggest national bottleneck today. So as Doğuş University, in our university, we are proposing the Turkey Carbon Management Academy to help close exactly this gap. So by building national expertise, establishing an ISO 1407067 and 14064 verification center, supporting policy implementation, and developing basin level monitoring systems. So, but to make this real, we need a legal recognition and international funding support. So we need also support from our government. So if policymakers invest in independent verification capacity inside the university, because we are free, so if we do this kind of things, everybody will come to get the certificate from us. Everybody, all these small and medium enterprises will come us to get some certificate to measure their carbon emissions or so on. So it's the best way in Turkey doing it in a university. So Turkey can become a regional leader in nature positive finance. So my message is clear. Strengthen governance and verification first, and we are ready to help deliver it. So as Doğuş University, we are ready to establish a carbon management academy, and we are ready to share all our knowledge and experience to the market On the other hand, as the Ocean University, we are at the heart of the industrial zone, Dudullu organized industrial zone. So more than 1,300 companies there are. It's like an open laboratory for us. We can create a very big difference with getting this kind of support from European Union, from our government, from also United Nations. So we need specific support to make this business better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Patricio, I will ask you same question for you. What it would be your main message for COP30?
Thank you very much for the question. So I would like to answer with a question that is, why should the private sector invest in biodiversity credits, nature credits, or water credits? I think that this should be clear in order to halt and reverse nature loss by 2030. Is it because of regulations? Is it because of the demands of the consumers? Is it because of the investors in terms of risks of climate disasters? So in this sense, I think that we should guide us with the target 15 of the Kunming that asks governments to ensure that large companies and financial institutions start to assess, disclose, and reduce their impacts and dependencies on nature. And I think that this should change from voluntary to mandatory. I know it's not easy, but I think that it's a way in order to start to drive finance. And in this sense, I think that the private sector should start to follow the mitigation hierarchy. Some companies are already on this nature positive journey, starting from measuring their impacts and dependencies on nature, following, for example, the Science-Based Target Network or the LEAP approach of the Task Force on Nature Financial Disclosures. And they measure, they reduce, and that impact that is residual, then they can compensate it. And in that sense, I think that is very important to differentiate the compensation in terms of carbon between the compensation on biodiversity. I think that it's two different things, the compensation and the contribution, because biodiversity credits are not only for offsetting, I think that they are also for contribution and additional conservation actions. And in that sense, we should see them as a good way in order to demonstrate impact, verify impact, and to show this additionality in terms of nature. But yeah, I think that the instruments are already in place. We should start to answer this question. How is the private sector having a benefit in terms of investing in nature? So this could be much more easier, and I don't know, we could go in a faster direction to nature positive. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricio. And the last comments for Javier. Could you please share with us?
Yeah, thank you, Elif, and thank you all, the audience, for participating, being part of this panel. Thank you to the Turkish government. My message to you and my message to COP30 is about policy integration. And at least I can think of three areas: fiscal policy, financial regulation, and national development policy. So for all of us that would like to participate more frequently and in a more dynamic way within a democracy that does not allow us to vote on a more frequent basis. So for all of us that are in here, so whenever we have an opportunity to influence in fiscal policy, financial regulation, and national development, we should take that opportunity. Otherwise, nature is still part of a pilot stage. And we cannot afford having nature only as a pilot. We need nature to be integrated in policy, and it's not happening yet. So we do have a voice. Let's use our voice, and hopefully let's also use our vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much Javier, Patricio, Tılsım Hanım ve Turhan Bey. Thank you so much for your joining, and also thank you so much for your joining today. I truly really appreciate for contribution. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Hello everyone, this is Gözde Koygun. I am from Turkey. Today I am going to talk about net zero carbon building practice and financial models. Let's start. Okay. First of all, I want to explain you what is the meaning of net zero carbon building applications. Net zero carbon building applications refers to full set of practical actions, technologies, and also design the strategy that reduce a building's carbon footprint to zero across the life cycle attention. To do this, all the applications for to be a net zero carbon building applications, it needs to be reducing energy demands, decarbonization materials, clean energy integration, and neutralization the remainder. So I will go a little bit deeper. This is our kind of roadmap actually for how we build up our net zero buildings. To reach net zero carbon buildings at the scale, we must rethink every component of how buildings are designed, constructed, and operated. These are the main important stuff that we have to think about it. And this includes the materials, thermal envelopes, passive heating and cooling, on HVAC systems, applications, lighting, and on-site the energy generations. But the biggest opportunity are clear to understand that reducing embodied carbon in construction materials and shift to the clear for more efficiency heating and cooling system. So to make it more clear actually, net zero carbon buildings, they are referred to practical ways the buildings of the achieving net zero carbon, meaning that they are produce as much as clean energy and they consume, resulting of the net zero carbon dioxide emission. First of all, the using energy efficiency designs with lighting system, windows or HVAC systems, and etc. And the second one, implementing the passive heating and cooling systems. And the other one, third one, the installation on-site the renewable energy, which are solar panel system, some windy system, and etc. And the fourth one, choosing low carbon materials to reduce emission for construction, which are green materials that we can use for construction material to reduce the CO2. And the fifth one is the incorporation the clean cooking and low emission applications. Okay, so until now, dear, you may always hear about green buildings, how they are going to be designed, and then the second one, second one is the net zero energy buildings, and right now the most important one is net zero carbon buildings. These buildings are becoming more important because sustainable buildings has to be more efficiency as a cost effectively and energy effectively. So here is the some table that I can show to you, their criteria. Green buildings actually reducing energy demands during the construction and life cycle. They are all reducing of it. And secondly, decarbonization of the power supply for buildings by using of the renewable energy, such as solar panel energy, or like some renewable new stuff. So they are all acceptance. But for the, to be a net zero carbon building, it is including the avoiding the carbon emission. So for this one, it is very important to create some strategical pathway to, developing net zero carbon buildings. So this is why this is, going to be a challenge of the challenges and translating to net zero carbon buildings. While the goals are clear in the pathway is fraught with the challenges, high upfront costs, lack of the public awareness and the regulatory barriers, and often impede the progress. Additionally, the integration of the renewable energy in building requires overcoming technological and infrastructure hurdles. So besides this, actually, strategical recommendation for energy efficiency and sustainability, there are like some steps that we have to follow as a roadmap. The first one is like residual emission remaining every after energy efficiency and renewable use energy. And the second one, offset mechanism, which is like some international institute that have to, verify your building that is efficiently, and supported by the, sustainable projects. And the outcome of is priority buildings officially certified as a network net zero carbon buildings. And so when you get this carbon building certification, your building becomes a recognizable from all around the world, like as a internationally. So this can be another challenge for your buildings to reach another investment. This is the kind of some serial steps that we have to follow it. Okay. And why we are focusing on the building sector? Sorry, I just missed to change the presentation page. Sorry. Okay. Why we focus on the building sector? Because this sector has a fundamental role in global greenhouse gas emissions. What does that mean? Yeah, what are the key points for that? Buildings account for almost 37% global energy related with CO2, which is also related with construction and materials and operations. So emissions comes from the operational energy using heating, cooling, and lighting system and other applications that affects to be operate the energy. And another parameters is embodied carbon in construction materials, which can be cement, metal, steel, asphalt, and etc. And actually, rapid urbanization is increasing the demand of new buildings and new materials. So, as the last part for the key points of the buildings. Decarbonization, the sector is the top priority, and climate action are the every monthly. So let's move on to the another part of it. So until this moment, I try to describe what is the meaning of say net zero carbon buildings and how it has to be and etc. But in a actual world, we also had some action. We developed some projects in Konya, Turkey, with the municipality of Konya. So you will now you will listen about more detail about these projects. But before this one, I want to explain you the give you some. how we come up these projects actually. According to their aim to reach net zero building pathway to 2050. They had some project with the World VRE and GSE and UNEP. So they developed some project with them. And according to this one, Konya has a pilot city to create some project about net zero carbon building projects. So these projects aim to build sectors to decarbonization plan action and also energy efficiency designing retrofitting combined with the carbon reduction in materials, renewable energy integrations and low carbon construction technologies, and also stronger building codes and monitoring system. So these are brings, these are kind of under some 5 different main subjects, which are like building materials, existing buildings, new buildings, urban planning and residential, and also horizontal arrays. So, right now, I will introduce you to Mr. Dr. Sardar. He's actually the head of the waste management department in Konya Municipality. So he will be introducing the project that we have been done in Konya.
Bundan gelmiyor. My name is Serdar. I am from Konya City. Konya City in Turkey. We have one project named Konya Building Sector Decarbonization Action Plan. This project action plan 5 main subjects. 1. Building materials, existing buildings, new buildings, urban planning and resilience, horizontal axis, and so weiter. Pilot project implementation, Konya City Green Library project. The first pilot implementation has started within the scope of Konya Building Sector Decarbonization Action Plan. Konya Metropolitan Municipality is one of the 4 pilot cities in the world of zero carbon buildings project supported by Global Environmental Facility (GF) and World Research Institute (WIRE) and United Nations Environment Program (UNEP). Pilot project implementation, Konya City Green Line project. The first pilot implementation has started with the scope of Konya Building Sector Decarbonization Action Plan. Konya City Green Library project was prepared in accordance with the Green Building as Decarbonization Action Plan criteria, and its construction started. As you can in this slide, and we have short video for library. Oradan oynatabiliyor musun? Şuradan.
We had some short video that you guys just watch about it for the sustainable buildings. And here is another projects that we have been done in Konya. First one is the Mevlana Culture Center in Turkey. We have been certified this building as a net zero carbon buildings, and also second one, it is the head of the municipality they are working over there, and it's called the stone building. This is also certified by the TABAC as a net zero carbon building certification. And third one, also another building in Konya, which is related with the Konya municipality as a public building. We also certify this building as a net zero carbon certification. And the fourth one is another sample of the net zero carbon building, which is the Selçuklu Fire Station, which is the only one in the world fire station has been, get certification for net zero carbon building. So this is impressive because like everyone is like talking about the actions, plan, feasibility and etc. But Konya municipality has been developed some actual project, which are servicing with the people. So this is very important actually. How they are developing these projects? They are, focusing on the reducing energy demand to develop these sustainable buildings to manage. And also another part is expanding the use of the renewable energy of the buildings. So this is another, details that they are focusing on to fix it and make it more sustainable buildings. And the next one is actually the important one. They are also certifying their carbon neutralization building, because with this certification process, you guys your building becomes internationally seenable from the other green funding or the green investors and etc. So according to this certification process, you become more powerful to develop another sustainable projects for your country. And these are some samples of the Konya municipality's certification that they are sharing in their building officially too. And also you guys can type it, Mevlana building as a sustainable certification. You can Google it and you can see it over there. It is seenable from everyone. So transparency is the most important thing that, that we are talking about the sustainable stage. And last thing, so when you become a recognition through the net zero carbon building certification, this creates you more strategical, financial, and you can make it more scalable on that. And so international recognition with the Konya metropolitan municipalities, sustainability achievements gain the visibility on the global stage. So according to this one, we can focus on the climate-focused national guards and international financial tools, and also public-private cooperation models we can also create. So with here also strategic financial approach for Konya municipality, unlocking the sustainable investments projects, which brings you sustainable vision, and also involving the potential of the municipality. Right now, maybe I didn't wanna enter so many technical issues. I just want you to be get some idea how it should be done to be a net zero carbon building certification process. But the most important thing is, how you reach the, financial issues, because this is kind of very hard to be net zero carbon building. It is so cost effectively. So right now we are going to explain you how we are, develop these strategical financial issues. So with the financial issues of the Konya Metropolitan Municipality buildings, what we have been done with Dr. Ekrem. Right now, I'm going to introduce him that he's going to give you about more financial part of these projects actually. Thank you.
Hello everybody, how are you? Thank you for being here.
We can't hear you.
You can hear?
Right
yes.
now.
Okay. The over issue all the time happening with sustainability, while it's feel good, the problem is money. Where the money coming from? How it will work? The upfront, the huge cost for sustainability. We created new models to offset that issue. And we experienced these models with the municipality of Konya, and they were a huge success. Let's be honest, sustainability means more money. You have to pay extra money. You have to pay for building. You have to work through different process for it or so. To be able to fill this gap, we have to look into different ways how we will be able to work through one by one. What's the situation for each municipality or each building, how it can work with it. In the municipality of Konya model, what they did, they went first and they expanded. Yeah. They expanded and they did the first buildings on their own. They are the one who came up with the fund. They are the one who came up with the process to do this. The buildings are diverse. Maulana building, it's more of a cultural building, had probably 10, 15 million visitors per year. It's a huge building, an office building for their headquarters, fire station, different things through there. By demonstrating this part, we were able to create a real economic value for that. With this economic value was so easy to attract financial investors to come in and continue their path and continue their need through this issue. One other issue is very important. When you create a sustainable building, that usually, yes, there is upfront cost. There is no question about that at this time. But what will happen with it? This cost, it used to be repaid within 17 years. Now, with the advancement of technology and advancement of a transfer of technology or so, the building become payable in 7 years. And we saw certain investment are back in 3 years. So actually it becoming a financial gain. It's not a burden anymore. Because, you know, when I have a building, I spend, let's say, just an example, $1 million on it. And I gain back this $1 million in 7 years, it's a great investment. It's a 15% return on my money. After the 7 years, this is a pure profit for the municipality, private companies, how they will work through these issues or so. The municipality of Konya also, they went into and they created a bond, a green bond, to attract more investors and to work with these investors and how they will work through these issues or so. So it's very important for them that how to work. Now we have to start to think of finance. A green finance is completely different than we think about it before, of sustainability process and how it will come through it. Now, Konya is actually attracting investors, attracting people, they want to come and do that. And they are start to expand their process. Meaning they want now they are going into industrial areas, waste management, different things, all within their goal. They want to reach the net zero by 2050. By taking the initial responsibility for them, it was so easy to work into the other thing. Konya right now, they are working into the largest project in the world for waste management, not related to war or natural disaster. With over 30 million tons of waste construction, Konya does not pay a single penny for it. It's 100% financed by internationally because they took the initial initiative to do what they need to do in the beginning.
Finish up? Okay. Thanks for Dr. Ekrem that giving us more detail about financial stage. Actually, I have some question. Actually, could you just underline what is the value of sustainable financial process and why we need to focus on this one?
Okay. In regular finance, usually, you go to a bank, you go to a financial institute, you have certain collateral, they work with you to collect money with it. Sorry. Okay. With that issue or with that in mind, the financial rate keep it fluctuate up and down, depend about the financial market. 6%, 7%, 10%, 12%, sometimes even 15%. And I saw some African countries, they are borrowing in the rate of 23%. Colombia, the other day, they got loans from the international market. They are paying 27%, which these loans, it's tax big time the environment, tax the government itself or so. So looking into the alternative route of sustainable finance. Sustainable finance, relatively, it's a new finance. It's not been for a long period of time. It focused into certain sectors. Right now, the sector is hydrogen. Everybody looking for hydrogen. They want to do hydrogen or whatever. A lot of it was solar, different projects, sustainable project or whatever. However, there is a huge room where there is small gaps you can work with the sustainable of it. The sustainable work, it does not require from you upfront money. It does not require from you to put collateral. It does not require from you to have a workable model, financial model to work through them. So that make it much lesser pressure into government or a private entity to do this issue. So it's very important. Also, one issue very important. Most of sustainable loan right now, it's actually between 2% and 5%, and this is something you're gonna find anywhere. The question is that how to apply for it and how to work with it. This is where it's really the big challenge. Unfortunately, there is a lot of misinformation and a lack of information how to do this and which organization to do this with it or so. Konya, they were very blessed. They are working with the European Union. They are working with the international work. They are working with Taiwan. They are working with them because they create a model from the beginning was sustainable. They did their homework first the right way, then everything come after that easy. Unfortunately, what we see, okay, we want to do this project or we want to do that project or so. That project by itself does not qualify to have a sustainable for it or so. It had to be a pathway to get to this issue.
Thank you, dear. Does anyone have a question? Yeah, you can just.
It's a little question, but it's on my mind, so I'm just gonna ask. Okay, like this?
Little bit more.
Like this? It's okay? Okay.
Yeah,
Anyone can hear me?
right now, better.
If you have an old building and you have to destroy them to make it sustainability, you will destroy them or you're making another one in the way of sustainability? Because if you destroy them, it's not the
True.
thing. Yeah, it's not the topic
It's
of
another
sustainability.
you are right. It is another like CO2 emission creating model, destroying it. So we have two opportunities in this way, or two ways. If the scenario is, two way to fix this problem with the new technologies and new materials, we prefer to destroy it and redesign we design the project. After that, we can apply it. But if the project, we have some feasibilization, like initial assessment report for this one. And when we prepare this initial assessment report to get like net zero carbon building certification for the buildings, we are looking for so technical stuff. So according to these technical parameters, we can see that this is, feasible to, destroy it or fix it. So it might be your question's answer, hopefully.
But if you like to have any choice to do with an old building, just for example, you will destroy them or you just like ignore them and making another one in a way of sustainability?
Yeah, dear. I will show you the real example of your question, actually. These are the old buildings that we have been certified as a net zero carbon buildings. Here, there are some situations we can create as a model. either we can offset your carbon quota with some another project that you developed according to the, like, as a Konya municipality, they have been developed some big solar panel energy. So it is under their umbrella. So what we did in the first building, because this building is very big and very old, and to fix the problems, it is kind of hard. So what we did, we offset this solar panel projects with this building. So this building becomes a net zero carbon building. So according to this recognition of the international investments, after that moment, right now we create some green loan to fix as a actual work. Right now we don't have some issue to think about our budget, because we create some feasibilization report to get more funding to fix that. The issue is the finance here. So it is really hard to create these financial model with the old buildings. But we have also some technological parameters to solve our problems, hopefully. Do you want to add something more?
Let me just add a couple of things for you. Almost 75% from building around the world, do they qualify for retrofitting, to create it from old building to update certain technology and certain things. The issue it comes with it, whether this building financially good to have this technology or not. As she mentioned to you, that's working through in the beginning. If you take one specific building, it may not be worth to retrofit. However, if you are taking a pathway for retrofitting, that's make it much easier for you, because you can really access larger fund. Usually, fund manager tend to look for bigger numbers. They don't want to look for building for 200,000 or 300,000 or so, but they are willing to look for 15 million, 50 million, 70 million or whatever. And this is what we did with Konya. We did build 4 buildings for them. However, they have over 50 other buildings they want to retrofit and they want to do. Now the funder came in and said, oh, wow, I have here almost $70 million worth of business. So it was easy to obtain. But as she mentioned, every building had their own criteria and everything. The first initial part you take in, you have to make an initial assessment for this building, whether it's worth it or not.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ekram. Anyone have any other question?
How the constructions win the certification of NEZCB, how they get to this certification, and you have any criteria to do that?
Sure, it's a good question actually. Thank you for asking that. Because for construction site, there is another certification process which is called new materials certification. If the construction company use this kind of project materials, now we can add this one to the net zero carbon building certification as a criteria. So it has to be lowered by the CO2 emission, and it has to be sometimes some materials has to be made by the some waste material, 30%, minimum 30% and over. And these kind of materials helps to make these constructions companies their buildings more sustainable and to be a criteria of their building. Yeah. Anyone? Any question more? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Guzela, for the explanation, and Dr. Akram, thanks for that useful and meaningful presentation. My question is about sustainable finance. How can sustainable finance can expand it to support vulnerable region? That's my. Thank you.
Okay. Right now, just to understand a small thing. Holland is a very small country. Holland, they have 117 different funds for sustainability or a green fund. Sustainable funding or sustainable money, it's becoming the new trend. We are seeing a huge shift from the normal finance to sustainable finance because it's actually more profitable and easier to work with or so. A lot of the fund manager I see in Europe, I see in America, in Canada, in Singapore, they start to shift or they add at least part of their portfolio to become sustainable, funding. The issue is in a global way, like how I can take this global initiative and make it special for my region or my area. There. The simple question for that, if the money is there and the work is done the right way, the money will come. You build it, they will follow. As simple as that. Like anything, any fund manager, first thing, two things they look for. They look for how I can get my money out and is it safe for me to invest. If we can address these two issues, the money will come easily after that. Because there is so much right now looking for funding a project. In Holland alone, there is over $142 billion fund. They are waiting to be funded. Taiwan, which we are working very closely with the Taiwanese government, and actually we represent the Taiwanese government or so. They have 3 different funds totaling $742 billion. Very hard to use with them. So, however, we worked when we did the right work with the municipality of Konya. The money start to flow to them, even more than what they want.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, everyone, for listening us and standing on the backside. Thank you. We appreciate. Hopefully, it was delightful presentation for you too. I appreciate. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Uğur. We are going to discuss today voluntary compliance carbon market and international carbon market. Today we are with very distinguished colleagues. I want to give the floor to our moderator, Agustina. Thanks.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Agustina. I'm here representing AITA, or IATA in English. For me, it's AITA. We are an organization who brings together members from all over the world that try to empower carbon markets and carbon pricing instruments worldwide. We have presence in Asia, in Europe. We are growing so fast in Latin America. I'm from Argentina. And here I represent the International Working Group team as we are following closing negotiations because we have so many members here that are interested in the implementation phase of Article 6. We have been saying so much that, okay, negotiation is over, we need to start working, we need to start implementing things. And this is something, an important topic to discuss today, as we didn't expect that, but we are on week 2 and we are still having negotiations going on. So something, it's interesting, something is happening here. Why? And I want to ask the question, why countries are so focused in negotiations and not in the implementation part? This is something interesting to discuss, right?
Yes, why not? And by the way, we suppose Andre is gonna come in a minute. So for the sake of time, also there are some overlapping sessions for Article 6. I don't want to hold our colleagues too much. So I just want to jump in our discussion directly, if you don't mind. And I would like to give the floor to also Xiao for introduction himself.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Xiao Hua from the Singapore National Climate Change Secretariat. So we are a government agency under the Prime Minister's office in Singapore. For us, we mainly coordinate with different ministries when it comes to climate policies and implementation. And myself, I'm from the Global Partnerships team, and I cover anything carbon markets. So Article 6, voluntary market, and yeah.
So first one, I think I can go with a brief presentation about what we are doing on emission trading system. This slide gives a bit overview about our national gas inventory. So in 2022, we have 552 million ton carbon dioxide, and sectoral breakdown is shown. So energy is the first one, most major emission source, which is almost like 400 million ton. So when we look at our NDCs, we just submitted our NDC at the beginning of this COP, and it says by 2035 we will reduce our emissions to 642, which corresponds to 42% from the business as usual scenario. Also, we have net zero gas emission target by 2053. So the purpose of main objective of emission trading system is like to achieve net zero emission by 2053. Also adapting to CBAM without ignoring our special conditions of our economy. Our climate law was enacted this year, and following this development, we published our draft regulation. First one is regarding the emission trading system. Second one is the voluntary carbon market and Article 6. They are still under consideration. We get the feedbacks from our stakeholders. So we are structuring two documents from the scratch. And I think it will be ready by this end of this month, hopefully. And so we suppose that our emission trading system will start in 2026. So for the well-operated emission trading system, we need a very robust MRV. So we have very good capacity, and since 2015 we have well-operated MRV system. And when we look at our MRV data, in total there are more than 800 installations, and covered emission are approximately 280 million. So which corresponds to half of the Turkey's greenhouse gas emissions. Sectoral coverage is iron, steel, cement, glass, ceramic, pulp and paper, and chemicals. For implementation period of emission trading system, the only category B and category C will be under the coverage, which means that category A is installations less than 50,000 emissions. Category B is 50,000 and between 500,000. Category C is more than 500 emissions installations. Let's one step forward, and so in pilot phase will be 2 years from 2026 to until beginning of 2028. So coverage will be only CBAM sectors and category B and C installations. So we are covering iron and steel, cement, electric, fertilizer, aluminium, and right after pilot phase, all the category B and C sectors will be under the coverage. So we are still covering the most of the emissions, which is 237 million, also which corresponds to 85% of MRV emissions. So this is general elements on our planned emission trading system. So scope, as I said, in the transition pilot phase will be CBAM sectors. And during the implementation periods, we are going to cover all MRV sectors. The reason is that the covering high volume of emissions with emission-intensive sectors. When we look at the threshold, facilities emitting more than 50,000 carbon dioxide will be under the scope as well. Why we choose this threshold? Because there are so many installations under the category A, but they are not, their emissions are not accountable. So it's negligible. Just to minimize the administrative burden, we select the category B and C. Cap approach will be intensity-based cap, because we don't want to restrict our production, but to expand the upper limit as production increases. Free allocation method will be emission intensity benchmarking method, so we don't want to punish the early investors, and just like as you know, the benchmarking is the most fair methodology to allocate the allowances. So free allocation rate in the transition period, it will be 100%, which means that when you calculate the allowances, allocated allowances, there is a production amount multiply with the benchmarking multiply with the free allowance rate, which change from 0 to 1. If you choose 1, which means you're gonna give all the free allowances they deserve. So this amount will be decreased gradually when we go to implementation periods. So offsetting, we have huge capacity and huge. There are so many carbon credits in our country. In terms of project, when we look at number of the registered project under gold standard Vera, we are coming as third country, maybe fourth country in the world. But in the pilot phase, we don't have any offsetting. In the implementation period, we will allow offsetting. But the percentage will be determined by Carbon Market Board. I'm going to explain next slide. For the market stability, we will have some provisions like a market stability reserve and price corridor. So price corridor will be also determined by the Carbon Market Board as well. So another slide is regarding how we're going to manage this process. So ETS market will be operated by Energy Exchange Istanbul, which is similar of EX, European Union. So they will operate primary market, secondary market, and also transaction registry system. As I said, market regulation will be provided through market stability reserve and price corridor. Responsible institutions are Director of Climate Change, where I'm working, market operator, Energy Exchange Istanbul, and Carbon Market Board and Advisory Board will be the main decision bodies throughout the process. So there will be some enforcements for the installation failed to submit their verified emission report, installation including ETS scope, but they cannot get greenhouse gas emission permit, also fail to surrender their allowances. I mean, in case of uncompliance. And this is just slide. I don't want to take your time. So as I mentioned two bodies. Emission trading system is such a cross-cutting instrument for every single sector. So implementation of emission trading system will affect each sector. So in our decision body, which is Carbon Market Board, consists of representatives from related ministers at the high level, like our Minister of Environment, Urbanism and Climate Change will be the head of this board, and deputy ministers of related ministers such as energy, treasury, industry, agriculture will be the part of this board. So vice president of strategy and budget office, presidents of capital market board, energy market regulator also be part of this board. Also we have private sector representative as well through the advisory board. So it will be chaired by president of Union Chambers and Commodity Exchange of Turkey, and this will provide recommendations on opinions to Carbon Market Board in the regard of implementation of emission trading system. Actually, that's all about my presentation and also emission trading system. Thank you so much for your attention.
Testing. Yeah. No. Thanks, Igor, for sharing about your your ETS implementation experience. It's really very insightful. I think I'll just maybe touch briefly on Singapore's experience when it comes to carbon pricing. And for us, we didn't choose the ETS route. We chose the carbon tax route. And I think the conversation started way earlier, even if I recall, even before Paris Agreement, before my time. That was when the conversations first started internally, and I think we were thinking about how best do we transition our economy to be a greener economy, to really start to decarbonize. And we thought that it is important to start by sending a signal, and a carbon tax would do just that, to really set a signal for the companies to really start to find ways to decarbonize and price in carbon within their operations. So the current carbon tax we have, or rather we started in 2019. We announced the carbon tax, and it was $5 per ton of CO2, 5 Singapore dollars, which translates to about, I think, 3.7 USD. quite a low amount to start off with, but really to ease our companies in and make sure that the transition is smooth, because with the economic impacts can be quite significant. So we want to make sure that our companies are able to ease in. So we started in 2019, and just last year we multiplied our carbon tax by 5 times. So from 5 Singapore dollars per ton to 25 Singapore dollars per ton, really to ramp up the ambition. And the trajectory will continue to increase. The current planned trajectory is $45 per ton of CO2 by next year. And by 2030, we will reach around $50 to $80 Singapore dollars per ton of CO2. So that's the trajectory of our carbon tax. And currently it's estimated to cover around 70% of our emissions across, I think, over 50 facilities in Singapore across different sectors, manufacturing, waste, water, and a few others. And so I think that's the summary of Singapore's carbon tax experience. And I think maybe just to add on to that, there's a linkage between our carbon pricing scheme and also carbon markets. So under our carbon tax scheme, we allow our companies to offset up to 5% of their tax obligations using Article 6 compliant credits. So that means that for a company, let's say, company A needs to has 100 units of tax obligations, he can use 5 units to be offsetted through the purchase of Article 6 credits. And that's how we link the Article 6 with our carbon pricing scheme. So I'll stop here.
If I can add something on that from the private sector perspective, I think the example of Turkey is really important. It's a really interesting one because you set up in a really impressive way, but in a really solid way too, the baseline to implement ETS. That is not an easy task. We have seen so many countries failing around the world, or maybe that they push it forward, they implement even the pilot phase for the ETS because the lack of robust infrastructure, also the lack of capacity, also the lack of a measure from the institutions, the private sector that is going to be involved on this scheme. Sometimes it's really hard to understand from the private sector. The first thing is, okay, they are in a way undenied. No, we don't want these situations going on. We don't understand why the government is putting this in place. But then when you jump that barrier and you start making the trust, the confidence, and also building from solid information, putting in place and on the table the robust importance, as you said, the CBAM, all the situation that is going on around the world, that we need a carbon pricing instrument in place. I think that it's important. Also, something to add from the private sector perspective, the trust is everything, and you can lose it from one minute to another one. So all that information that you have been sharing, have been working with different actors, but also with those that are going to be covered by the system, is key for them to understand, embrace, and also to work actively in this system. So these type of spaces to share the experience, to understand. And also, the pilot phase is not going to be easy for nobody, and we need to start facing that. Pilot phase is going to be, I think, the hardest part of all the ETS, because we are starting to learn together from the government, from the private sector, and from the rest of the actors, how we are going to manage this situation. So I think a lot of interesting situations is going to be right away the corner. And from AITA, we are happy to continue supporting you and engaging with you, because we truly believe you are doing a really good path, and our members too. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I think with your colleague, always we are exchanging our views in Article 6 as well, so emission trading system issues. So yes, you're right, emission trading system, at the first sight, it will be very hard for us. So just to make the transition for the industry, actually, we will decrease the penalties by 80%, which is, I think, acceptable for many of the installations, just because even understanding reporting periods, just to market operations, how they are going to plan their investment in the future, which is a very tough issue. Also, for arranging this issue with investment plans, also we have to like give the time installation, give the time the private sector, and under two-sided consultation we will do it together. Yeah. So I think maybe like we can, if you want, we can go second round regarding the voluntary carbon market and Article 6 issues. So as I said, we like our voluntary carbon market experience goes back to, I think, CDM periods, because we couldn't benefit from the CDM because of our unique position under the UNFCCC, under the convention. We are Annex 1 country, but we don't have any reduction commitment. That's why we cannot be any buyer and or host country in the CDM. So that's why in our carbon market, voluntary carbon market emerged through the with the with the standards like international independent standards through gold standard, VERA and GCCS. Once our directorate established in 2021, first study in this area was like how much to learn, how much potential we have in this involuntary carbon market. Through the EBRD fund, it shows that we are coming, as I said, a third or fourth country in terms of carbon credit supplier in the world. So we decided to address this potential by establishing our national crediting system. As I said, we have two different bylaw. First one is regarding for emission trading system. Second one is national crediting system and Article 6. For the national crediting system, we have a protocol with the Turkish standard institution, which are very experienced institution regarding development standards and methodologies. So our bylaw covers all the things regarding like receiving project PDDs, project design documents, and issues of the credits. And in our draft regulation, our credits called as turquoise credits. Turquoise is color for, and we believe that this color resembles our country. I mean, like, so we said turquoise credits. Hopefully, we are working on it. Also, our second part of the draft bylaw is covering Article 6 issues. But as I said, we don't have any experience in CDM, so we don't have any strategy how to engage in international carbon market. So which mitigation outcomes will be subject to international carbon market? Because we have to consider NDC achievement as well. So just to cover this area, just to build a capacity with ERCST and through the EBR fund, we started one project regarding to development our Article 6 strategy. It started almost like 8 months ago, and I think it will end hopefully at the beginning of 2026. And the result will be provided to Carbon Market Board. As I said, Carbon Market Board is the highest body which gives top decisions regarding carbon markets, like national allocation plan, participate in international carbon market, offset usage. This kind of like things will be provided by the Carbon Market Board. Actually, we are very eager to participate in Article 6, but we have to look at very carefully, like, and we have to pick low-hanging fruits and identify high-hanging fruit to how to participate Article 6. Yeah, these are the general issues. Maybe I missed several issues. Maybe in the question part I can cover them.
Okay, I guess I'll share Singapore's experience when it comes to carbon markets. But I think maybe just to take a step back first, the reason why Singapore is engaging in carbon markets, I think I'll give you one example here. So Singapore is a very small island state, and we have projected that if we were to cover the entire island of Singapore with solar panels, we can only offset less than 10% of our electricity demand. So that is a real constraint that we are facing. We have a limited renewable resources. We only have solar as our main renewable resource, and that is less than 10% of our national demand. So for us, when it comes to decarbonizing, achieving our NDCs, we really need to tap on international cooperation. So Article 6 being one, but also looking at CCS, cross-border CCS, looking at renewable electricity imports from nearby countries. So I think that's the broader context of where we're operating and why Article 6 is necessary for Singapore to really enhance our ambition and allow us to go towards net zero. So I think that's the framing I want to start off with. And for us, we are driven by necessity to implement Article 6 to meet our NDC. And how we have done so is really to tap on the infrastructure of the voluntary carbon market. So, Ugur just now mentioned about how Turkey has a lot of projects in Vera and Gold Standard. So actually for Singapore, for us, our Article 6 approach taps on the independent standards like Vera, like Gold Standard and other independent programs. And the reason why we have done so is because these programs have experience. They have set out a set of methodologies, standards that are well known by the industry. So we thought that by tapping on their expertise, we can actually help to implement our own Article 6 more efficiently. So under our Article 6 cooperation, how we do so is that, at least for Article 6.2, the bilateral cooperation approach, we enter into legally binding implementation agreements with various partner countries. Currently, we have got 10 implementation agreements. And once that's been signed, we have to work towards operationalizing. So that means working out the processes, who's in the joint committee, who attends the meetings, and what sort of methodologies each country can accept. And once that process is in place, which we are working on right now with some of our partners, then it's really about implementing it and tapping on that projects that are already in the voluntary carbon markets, but also requiring the host country LOA, the letter of authorization, for that credit to become Article 6 compliant. So I think in broad, that's Singapore's Article 6 approach and why we are engaging in carbon markets.
Maybe I can come up with one question. Yeah. So, actually, I couldn't have any time to read your guidance regarding the voluntary carbon market credits. So, could you give us a bit, insights on the guidance?
Sure. So what I've shared is about the Article 6 market. And then, of course, there's the voluntary carbon market, which is about corporate decarbonization. And earlier this year in June, we published a draft guidance on how our Singapore corporates can use carbon credits towards their decarbonization plans. And just a few weeks ago, we launched the full guidance, incorporating the stakeholder feedback that we got. And the motivation of how this came about was really hearing from the industry. I think you mentioned earlier about the need to engage, corporates and understand, where they are. And I think this really started because companies have been telling us that they are keen to decarbonize, but because of the circumstance that Singapore faces, we have a lack of renewable energy, we are alternative and energy disadvantaged. So there is a limit to how much our corporates can decarbonize simply because of our national circumstance. And so therein, when you look at the different levers, actually carbon markets is a good lever for corporates to tap on to decarbonize on top of what they can do within their own internal measures. But there hasn't been very clear guidelines out there. There hasn't been very clear guidelines on how corporates can engage in carbon markets. And in fact, some of the standards that are existing, they are a bit more cautious towards how much corporates can engage in carbon markets. In fact, because I think carbon markets hasn't had a very good reputation, so some of these standards have been a bit more cautious. So I think for us, it's really, we want to come in to provide more assurance for our companies, to give them that, the air cover to really invest in carbon markets. So that's how we came about with the guidance. And we developed that in really close consultation with the companies, with the business associations, and eventually through a public consultation. And I would say that the guidance, maybe I'll just briefly touch on a few key parts. The first part of the guidance is that a company should only use carbon credits after it has exhausted its own internal measures. So that is in line with the mitigation hierarchy, meaning that you shouldn't be just purchasing carbon credits to just buy your way out, but you really have to pursue your own internal measures. And only when you have leftover emissions that are hard to abate, then you use credits to compensate. That's one part. I think the other part of the guidance is to let companies know that for us, we do recognize both reduction and removal credits. There are some, stakeholders that seem to favor a single class of credits over the other. But I think for us, it's about looking at what credits are credible, are high quality, that meet the environmental integrity criteria. So we don't really want to choose between removal or reduction credits, but we accept all credits equally if they are of high environmental integrity. So I think that's one part. And maybe the third part I'll touch on is really encouraging our companies to engage in some of the third-party providers such as carbon ratings, insurance, to really help them to enhance their environmental integrity of their portfolio, and to make sure that the portfolio of credits that they eventually hold can stand up to scrutiny. So I'll say this is a short summary of what our guidance covers. Thanks for the question.
Thank you so much. Agustina? Yeah.
I want to add something because I really like that part when you mentioned, carbon markets, maybe they don't have the best propaganda or the best press ever. It's true, we need to face it because of some mistakes in the past and maybe in recent months. But when we are talking about Article 6, especially, the engagement from the government, it's key. It's the key to unlock confidence for the private sector, because we know that it's true that that hasn't been so much implementation, so on, but we are working on that closely with different governments. And when you find partners like Singapore engaging, you can find confidence on that because of the robust requirements that you ask or expect from your partners. Singapore is a really high-level partner, if I might say, because you really teach your partners, you engage with them, you bring capacity building on the table, and that's a way to ensure high integrity, quality of the credits, but also you open the door for different capacity building activities and for other partners. So that is something it's important to highlight, because when we are talking about Article 6, sometimes we are facing, or countries are facing, this situation by themselves, but the proper name is cooperative approaches. So we need to cooperate, and not only among parties, but also among the rest of the partners from the universe of carbon markets, and that is when private sector comes. But the engagement is key. You need to learn from different partners to find your perfect fit, because nobody's for anyone. Sometimes a partner needs another one, and it's like a relationship, maybe you want to be with someone, but it's not working. So the partners are super important in this commitment, in this challenge. It's going to be important for Turkey to find and to engage with the right partners, to find who is behind, who is on the other side of the table, that is willing to help, is willing to engage, and has the same level and priorities, because not every projects are available to exchange. So outside there is a universe of potential partners, and I think that open the country for Article 6 is a really good signal. Having an ETS in a pilot phase is an amazing signal to promote the engagement through private sector, but also to find a really good partner in this quest to cooperative approaches. And let me bring something else to the table is sometimes we are thinking that, okay, the path is really slow, because by now we hope we had a month of corresponding adjustment, or maybe a different exchange even among Corsia. But I think that is happening. That is going to be the next step for the 2026, hopefully, because I think we are mature enough in different parts of the world with different key partners as Singapore and different governments around the world to promote the implementation they need. And I think you will learn interesting lessons from those who started a couple of years before, and you will find your own identity in this cooperative approaches experience. So also from the private sector, what we need, what we expect, the security, this necessity to trust, to have in place the enable conditions to trust you to as government to promote projects in Turkey, right?
Thanks so much, Agustina. I just wondering that, what's your opinion as IETA on the progress of Article 6 generally? Yeah. Now or general?
In general, well,
maybe 6.2, 6.4,
6.4.
which one ever.
Not sure if everyone is aware, But last year in Baku, we finally closed we thought that we closed the Article 6 rulebook. Sorry for laughing. But yeah, last year we say, okay, negotiation is over, implementation is in place. And we thought that this year is going to be like super relaxed, to see again our previous negotiators friends and to promote our relationship with different key stakeholders at COP. But well, two other items on the agenda appears, and now we are having negotiations again over two reports. That it's good in a way because we are trying to fix it or trying to promote different dialogues. But around Article 6 implementation, I think it had been a little longer than we expected. Everyone is anxious, private sector is anxious. You can see it from the last report, the annual reports from different key actors that are monitoring the carbon credit transactions, that the development and also the withdrawal are like really, really low now, because we are expecting this engagement between voluntary market and compliance market in a jurisdictional level and also in the international way. So we are hoping that these paths are going to converge finally in the next month or even the next years. But that's why the development of projects have been a little slower right now, because from the private sector perspective, we are hoping to have more security from that. From this type of policies, how the country is going to use or not, is going to approve or not Article 6 or international transactions in general, maybe through Corsia. So I think that we need to start talking about more implementation in the local. Implementation is not only signing bilateral agreement, it's also developing the public policy and enabling conditions in place to give the floor and give the space to promote cooperative approaches. So I think it's a double work between the local engagement and government capacity building, ensure some key elements as transparency, robustness, MRV, and also to find the right partner to promote these ambitions through Article 6 project.
Thank you so much, Agustina. Yeah, Article 6 is very tough issue for even Turkey, because like we are still trying to understand the whole procedure. Even like in the development of our bylaw, we were very struggled to like institutions' roles, also how we are going to authorize these things, how gonna hold these credits, like who's gonna be responsible mainly. So and even doing corresponding adjustment is still a tough issue. As Turkey also, as you know, like UNFCCC reach out to countries who have intent to participate international registry for 6.2. For now, like we are thinking of establishing our national crediting system. Through our national crediting system, we will actually track every single mitigation activities in our region, like in the gold standard, because like we are also recognize the Corsia because we have like very huge civil aviation firms. They will require some Corsia credits in the future, and we are sure that. So at some point we have to reach out this gold standard, where maybe in the future we will need to give to letter of authorization to this project. So best way for us to having a national registry system, but we cannot be sure that which one is most cost efficient, international registry or having a national registry system. So like having a national system will arise additional cost to private sector or project developers, or like which one is cost effective is still a big question. Yeah, actually that's all I want to cover. Do you have anything else? Or I would like to give the floor to audiences. Are there any questions regarding Article 6? Emission trading system, carbon tax? I think there is one question here. If you introduce yourself at the beginning.
So my name is Ömer Kirak. I am from World Bank. So we work with private sector actors, and we discuss these issues through financial market players. But as you know that there is a big difference between developed countries and the developing countries. So looking at the industry challenges in developing countries is a big issue. Especially after global stocktake, we saw that there are many critics from some developing countries, including India, including Turkey. So what are the expectations of private sector actors in developing countries, especially government incentives and other support from the MDBs, DFIs, or European countries?
Yes, for those who don't know me, I'm from Argentina, so it's a developing country per se, and it's a really interesting one, I have to admit. We're always having fun and there about this type of policies. What is the expectation from the private sector, especially from the AITA perspective on developing countries through carbon markets? We are really keen to promote the engagement through this type of countries. We are growing pretty fast among members through the region, especially in Latin America. Also, we are trying to reach more the Africa region because we understand that they had a lot of potential to develop high integrity and high quality projects. As about through international cooperation and even among local investment in the right sectors, the potential is it's amazing. Now we are getting more information as now we have NDCs going on and also the BTR also are in place. Now we have the same measure for, or the same system in a way, the same methodology for GHG inventories around the world. So we have more transparency among the sectors worldwide. And this is for us a really important information to start promoting different activities and engagement through countries. If we're talking about international trading, for example, Article 6, we are starting to closely monitoring NDCs and to understand how countries are positioning themselves among their this type of transaction. And actually we launched before COP a tracker to give our members the latest information on what is going on in this country, this opportunity to invest, but also to get a potential corresponding adjustment, yes or no. So we are trying to go through, because a lot of things are going on right now, not only in the voluntary carbon market, regional and local ETS, as previous was mentioned, and the international work. So we need to keep up speed, but also we don't need to lose focus, that we need to promote projects to reduce and removal GHG emissions for that country, and also that could be used for international transfer. So we are developing different type of tools and also engagement from key actors in the developing region to keep up with these new trends, and also with the interest from potential investors, because as I was saying before, not every carbon project is the same, and you are not going to find the same investors or the same buyer for the same credit or the same project. So it's important to promote this union and this type of connection between the actors, the key actors from the private sector, and also promoting conversion in the way to avoid fragmentation of the market, right?
Yeah, if I can just quickly add on, I think I really agree with what Augustina mentioned. I think the part about encouraging corporate demand for such action, I think corporates have got to, we have to incentivize corporate action, right? Just, you can't expect corporates to just fully follow the policies. I think there's been some mapping done. If you were to go on the current trajectory of the national policies, we are going to exceed the Paris Agreement temperature targets. So I think corporates have to be incentivized to take early action. And I just want to touch on, the effort that Singapore, the UK, and Kenya is co-chairing. It's a coalition to grow carbon markets. Really, it's a government-led coalition to help to provide more clarity and confidence for corporates to really take action, by engaging in carbon markets to complement what they are doing internally. And this coalition, currently we have got 10 member countries. We recently launched a set of principles in Sao Paulo 2 weeks ago. really to provide more clarity around, what are the sort of things that a corporate should look out for before they can start to engage in carbon markets. So I think maybe just to summarize, I think we really got to encourage corporate action and greater harmonization in the different standards worldwide. I think that will also help provide more clarity and reduce the confusion.
Thanks for the question and answers. Are there any questions? More questions? It seems we don't have any questions. So before concluding this panel, I would like to extend my gratitude to distinguished colleagues. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being in Turkish Pavilion and sharing your insights. It was almost always valuable for us. And hope to see you in the next panels, next scopes. Yeah. Thanks so much.